In section 6.2, we talked about how to reflect an image across either the x-axis or the y-axis. Now, in question number 1, it asks us to reflect across the x-axis. Now, I am going to highlight the x-axis for you because you should be able to think about what that image is going to look like if I flip it over the x-axis. Now, when I use my patty paper, I just take a corner of the patty paper, just like we did with translations, and I mark my x-axis and I mark my y-axis. Okay. Same situation as yesterday. You want to put dots where the vertices are for the triangle on the patty paper. And then you also want to label the dots on the patty paper. This way, when we move the item or we move the object, the vertices in the labels go with it, okay? Now, I'm actually going to put arrows on my x-axis because that's the axis that I'm flipping it over. And when I flip my patty paper, okay, you just want to make sure that you line up the x-axis where it needs to go, and then the y-axis also needs to be lined up. So I'm going to flip my patty paper, and I'm going to flip it so that the origin stays where it does, okay, and everything matches up. Notice how my arrows are still on that highlighted line there. Okay, I am going to press on or redraw the dots on the back of the patty paper so that they transfer over. And then I'm just going to slide the patty paper over so that I could still see the labels. So notice first how my dots transferred, but notice here in these bottom 2 dots, they did not match a corner of the grid. So I'm going to put this back just so that I could verify what dots they're supposed to be at, and I am going to press on them so that they transfer over. So now I notice that they're supposed to go in these corners here and the top one up there. Now notice how my points were labeled. A is this bottom left dot. That's a B, upside down B is this dot here, and C is the dot over here. Okay. You want to connect them to make it a nice triangle, and then once you have them connected, you just reflected this image over the x-axis. It does want us to make sure that we do the ordered pairs, but let's actually go back and make sure that we put apostrophes or prime symbols with each of those vertices, because it is the same image, however, but because it was moved, we have to account for that. So notice how my A prime, from the origin, I go left 3 and I go down 4. So that's -3, -4. For B prime, I go to the right 1 and I go down 4. So that's a +1, -4. And for my C prime, I go to the right 3 and down 1. So that's +3, -1.